We use the dome for a lot of reasons. It could be a guest house. It's a room for your teenagers. It could be a work studio. We have people living in the domes. We have clients who've lived in their domes for 30 years. We have domes in the warm Costa Rican climates, all the way in Alaska. Often we sell our domes to university projects who are doing research in the poles. Because of the shape of it, the wind just blows around it. The geometry of the geodesic dome is the geometry that Buckminster Fuller discovered from nature. So this is the magic garden of my dear friends. They love their dome. They use it for a music studio, jam session place, guest house, workspace. And we'll go inside this dome. This is a 20-foot dome.
So you have a window.
Each dome for the shelter domes, we usually have a bay window. This is a 20-foot dome, and you can actually fit a lot in here. I've seen a 20-foot dome with a little sleeping loft, and underneath would be a desk or office. And this dome they just use for a guest room and music. They play music in here a lot. So they've got a bed and some music gear. This is actually an unusual door. So normally you can put a normal pre-hung door here, or we have a different type of zipper door. They have a wood stove. In Oregon, we get some snow once in a while.
So you're able to put a wood-burning stove into this material.
Well, we have a flashing designed especially for exiting any kind of heat, and that's perfectly safe there.
So you wouldn't melt the fabric with the heat there.
Right, it doesn't even get hot. It's completely diffused by the flashing. So this little wood stove heats this up more than needed. It's pretty easy to heat. It's a small space.
And material's quite insulated?
This insulation, so what you've got here is you've got the outer cover, then you've got the frame. There's a dead air space between the outer cover and the inner cover here. And then you've got this insulated liner. Right now they just have their screen window in, but you can put a double pane window in there. Even people have lived in a dome this size in the same area as here without the liner and lived all winter for years with a little tiny, they used a pellet stove, which is very efficient. The original geometry that Bucky used, he extrapolated from the icosahedron. You know what platonic solids are, so all of those platonic solids are found in nature. And he created this whole geometric unfoldment to take that original icosahedron, which is a 20-sided sphere, and turn it into a more rounded thing by adding frequencies, we call it. But if you go from the very top pentagon and you go down to this pentagon here, you see it's a straight line. Or if you go right to the door, that would be a pentagon. And then also, let's see, where's the pentagon here? Here, pentagon. And here is another pentagon right here. So there's 5 pentagons because it's a 5-sided structure. So from the very top point to each of these points, that would have just been one straight line, one vertex on the original icosahedron. But to make a rounder structure, we divide that and add triangles all between. So we basically, to get a bigger dome, we go to a higher frequency. We grew up from grassroots, very grassroots, like necessity is the mother of invention. I made the first dome so that I could give birth to my child because I was living under a tree at the time I was pregnant. I remember putting the dome up and being so happy I got it up before the rains. This tree is like worth showing. This is a sequoia redwood. A matter of fact, when I first started making structures, I was living under a California redwood tree in Santa Cruz, and my first task was to make teepees. So I made a whole bunch of teepees for the farm at the university in Santa Cruz. All the staff members, we lived in a teepee village. That was how I began sewing structures. I moved there in '69. I was a staff member building the organic biodynamic farm along with Rudolf Steiner's main student, Alan Chadwick, who came to the United States to teach everybody biodynamic farming. When I moved to Oregon and decided to start a business making domes for other people, I needed to make money, so I would just sit in my living room while my kids played. I would just sit and sew domes, and I could make a dome, a house for somebody in a weekend. I felt really amazed, that I could actually do that. Everyone loved him so much they wanted me to make more, and then when I moved here to Oregon, I needed a livelihood. So, yeah. I moved up with a whole group of people, mainly because they wanted to be in Southern Oregon. It's so beautiful, and it's like, it was much more communities around and people doing back to land adventures and whatnot. So